And ladies and gentlemen, we will start off with the next fireside chat. We're taking a minute to do the setup. The name of this fireside chat is Driving Transformation and Disruption in the Digital Era. And we have two very interesting industry leaders who are going to initiate this chat, who's going to take us through different stories, who is going to give us some learning, and we are going to take these home as our skills for this day. Once again, I would request all of you to please post your stories and give the hashtags accordingly, because we are present there on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on X. So please present your stories and tag us so that we can see that you're enjoying yourselves and you're having a great time. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to start off with the fireside chat, Driving Transformation and Disruption in the Digital Era. I would like to request Mr. Ambarish Dasgupta, Senior Partner and Founder in Theory Consulting LLP, who is going to be in conversation with Mr. Avinash Joshi, CEO, NTT Data India. May I request both the gentlemen here to kindly come forward and take their seats. And a round of applause from the audience, please, as these two industry leaders take on the stage. Thank you for being here with us today, and I hand over the session to Mr. Ambarish Dasgupta. So.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm really quite pleased and honored to be in a fireside chat with Avinash, the CEO of NTT Data. I still wonder why in Calcutta right now going 27, 28 degrees centigrade, we call it a fireside chat. Yeah, should at least have been in the night than to really give this name a meaning. Thanks, Avinash, for being here. Wouldn't really like to keep the fireside chat very much confined to what NTT does, but rather, since NTT is such a large organization and that gives you an opportunity to meet with the various board level people, the management. So we may like to take this session a little beyond technology to the strategic uses of technology in India. But before we get into that, maybe we would just love to start about NTT and NTT Data, the global organization, the Japanese entity, then the three units which you have. Since in East, the presence is, maybe the awareness is there, but not so much as it was for about NTT all around India. So could you just brief us about the whole entity, their vision, what they do?
Sure. Thank you. And thank you for having me here, Ambarish, for ABP Group to invite me for this discussion. Spend a few minutes on NTT, what we are. So we are a Japanese group. Most of us may have known a brand called Docomo, which used to be in India before as a Tata Docomo brand, and that was our mobile service brand. Yeah. Our history, heritage is about 150 years old in Japan. Globally, our business is about $100 billion. $100 billion business of telco and IT services. The IT services business, which is NTT Data, that's about $30 billion globally. So sometimes we all joke that this is one of the best kept secret we have, that we actually have a $30 billion business globally. Partly, I think, why it is lesser known, because after we were allowed to go outside of Japan in year 2000, then we started a lot of inorganic growth across various geographies. And true to the Japanese philosophy and management style, while the stakes were taken by NTT, but those companies pretty much ran independent, autonomous, under various different names. So example, NetMagic in India was way back an entity company. Dimension Data in India was an entity company. Dell Services was an entity company. So all these various different companies globally, we acquired since 2000, and the last count is 97. So 97 different companies were acquired, and as a result, we form as a group. Today, NTT Data as a group is end-to-end comprehensive portfolio right from infrastructure, connectivity, applications, and now Gen AI data. So we generally are better known for our data center presence in India, and we have one of the leading position. But it's not only that, we also manage IT and applications for our clients. We do digital transformation. This is the topic today. And now we have some recent wins around even Gen AI. So think about us as a end-to-end most comprehensive portfolio. Just one last point about Kolkata. We actually have a reasonable presence in Kolkata. So UCO Bank is our client, National Insurance Company is our client, and few others. And we are expanding our presence in this part of the world because we think that there is a potential here for us to grow our business.
That's something really wonderful that you are expanding your presence in the East. But now, moving more to the general subject of the digital transformation, since as I understand entity data, both are an end-to-end transformation, consulting, implementation organization, it always crosses my mind that what's the difference between the digital transformation of the yesteryears on the digital transformation of today? Because
Right.
like I was jokingly talking to DDP, Mr. Prakash, so that digital transformation you have also been doing for your whole group when you were the MD. Maybe Dhruva also is now doing digital transformation when he is the MD. So what's the difference between the digital transformation of the yesteryears and that we are doing today?
I think the fundamental shift we are noticing in the digital transformation is it has gone now a lot more at the front of the business. So the involvement of not only the technology function within the company or enterprise, but the line of businesses, whether it's marketing, sales, operational technology, HR, legal. So line of businesses have started getting a lot more involved in the digital transformation than what it used to be in the past. That's one development. I think the second is the CEOs and CFOs actually are asking a lot more about the ROI on the transformation than what it used to be in the past. Because I think businesses are trying to grow at the front end by giving the best of the best client experience. And for them to give that best of the best client experience, they need to invest in the front end technologies. And for that, they need to save cost from business as usual, so to speak, IT technologies, right? So there is this whole conversation about also what's the ROI on the digital transformation. So these are the two fundamental changes I see.
Yeah, well, that's quite a right observation. My profession previously and what I'm doing now, because of being thoroughly into the management consulting and strategy, may not always actually take me only to the CIO or the CDO, but makes me interact with the other types of KMPs also. Now, there are little varied sense or understanding about a digital absorption or a transformation from, say, president of marketing to the president of IT to the president of procurement and all. So it varies. I mean, somebody is seeing maybe the elephant's tusk, somebody is seeing the elephant's tail. But now possibly we are more moving into an enterprise-wide digital transformation. Now, question to you, having worked in other countries, working in a large global setup, what we mean here as a digital transformation in India for a large organization, or the kind of adoption we have, is it very different than what Japan does, particularly Japan, since you are headquartered in Japan, or maybe the other country they consider?
It's interesting you asked that question. I have an experience of working for an American company before working here, and I see sometimes the difference in the approach, I would say Oriental versus Western approach even to the business. But what I have noticed fundamentally what happens differently in Japan is two things. One is extraordinary planning and a clarity of what is the outcome we are expecting. I think that is a lot more rigorous in Japan compared to, let's say, our part of the world, where we want to be more faster, agile, innovative, not necessarily, great planning. And at times, as a result, sometimes our goalpost changes because we have not planned enough what exactly we want to achieve. So I think that is one difference. The second difference, what I see is every conversation in our headquarters or in that society is whatever digital transformation, whatever innovation we are doing, are we doing it responsibly for the good of society? That, and you probably know this more than me, but that generally you don't hear in our conversations here about the impact of whatever we are doing. What's the impact of that for the society or a community? And I think it is very interesting that that view comes into the discussion, that whatever we are doing, is it sustainable? Is it good for? There is a term called sampoyoshi. That's a Japanese term, but basically it means whatever you do, it should be good for seller, it should be good for buyer, and it should be good for community. So I think I see that as a difference. And of course, then there's another thing, and that's basically because of, I guess, the demography, the societal problems. But a lot more digital transformation in Japan right now is related with, let's say, dealing with convenience of elderly, what you need to do, and how the technology can help for the demography what Japan is right now going through, right? I mean, we have a lot more younger population, so our digital transformation is, I think, a lot more on end user convenience for the mobile world, whereas I think in Japan you see digital transformation, or for that matter security or AI, lot more inclusive, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, that's one thing we see definitely amongst the Indian boards also. The convergence of the various technologies sometimes is becoming very perplexing and confusing for them, because they say that we are hearing AI, Gen AI. Within Gen AI, there are a number of tools like Claude, Perplexity, Copilot, all those things that's there. Then we have quantum computing, we have AR, we have VR, we have the edge computing, so many things that I can understand that a non-tech board person, they actually keep on hearing. And they sometimes feel that I'm hearing all these things, but I'm not being able to use the convergence of this to a proper business benefit or to the creation of a huge sustainable technology-induced business development. Sometimes it just becomes a plaything. Sometimes it just becomes a very pocketed kind of thing, like an applicability of a co-pilot to check my emails is not basically a transformation. So do you think that now the Indian companies, at least whom you are working with, has come out of that stage and can really think about this huge convergence of technology making a sweeping enterprise-wide transformation, or still remains a very pocketed plaything kind of a tool?
If I step back a little bit, it's really incredible the amount of experimentation is happening right now in Indian businesses. All the enterprises, small, large, medium, irrespective of the size, everybody is looking at something or other to experiment in the Gen AI space. Now, of course, most of them probably started with Copilot and email and getting the summary of PPTs and things like that. But I think very soon we see that Indian organizations have started moving to the real use cases, or at least wanting to know the real use cases. We have some engagements going on right now where we are helping clients in assisting the research effort. Can you reduce the time taken, just the plethora of information the researchers have to go through before they can come to a particular conclusion. So we are using Gen AI in that front. We have another engagement happening around enhancing the client experience by using conversational AI. There is another conversation happening about what can we do in whole legal compliance regulation, and how do you use Gen AI for that, right? I think there are two things the Indian enterprises might not have looked seriously yet. One is, it is easy to do sometimes the POC or a small use case, but if you have to scale that up across the enterprise-wide organization, have your system set up to deal with that. For example, data. Is your data structured, unstructured, data lake, how it is organized, where is it residing, is it on-prem, off-prem, how many cloud providers you have. So I think as you start getting into real use cases, I think the organization will start looking at, so to speak, these constraints. And first, I think they will have to fix that. Otherwise, you will not get the benefit of the AI. That is one, I guess. Second, I would say is, for AI, we really have to have a 3-year plan minimum. If you are going to have a crore budget here and another 2 crore budget somewhere else, chances are that that is going to go west. So unless you have a reasonable plan for a 3-year term and wanting to invest and stay with that, you will not get the benefit of AI what you otherwise want to get. Right now there is also a bit of a fear of missing out because the CTOs and CIOs will be asked by the CEOs, what are you doing about AI, Gen AI, and they are compelled to answer something. So I think that's the temptation we got to resist and have a clarity about what do we want to accomplish, which part of our business we think AI will make a difference. I think that thinking needs to be done before you jump into something. But the POCs, the small pilots is absolutely, you got to start something, I get it. But I think eventually, it will have to be a midterm plan for organizations to get some benefits out of it. And one last thing about is, we should not really underestimate the importance of security in this. Mm-hmm. As the data information is being made available everywhere, how do you have a governance around AI? How do you have a security around this? Otherwise, it's a two-edged sword. And we already are seeing some of those in the business and in the market. So when you look at AI, also look at how to secure it, how to make sure that it is secure, and allocate some budget for that as well.
Yes, very true. A few of the conversations which we were having maybe a few weeks back with some of the senior management, a little tech savvy, they were saying that, look, and I'm just borrowing an example of SAP, since we just had SAP gentlemen here in our previous session, that we were on SAP, we're now moving into, say, S4HANA. And around S4HANA, we are building up a huge architecture, because it is not just a pure dependence on S4HANA, because there are multiple such boutique niche software that we are also planning to have. Added to that, we also have to think about the cloud, the hybrid, whose cloud, how much hybrid, how much cloud, how much in-premise. On top of that, we also have to think about how to incorporate an enterprise intelligence through the AI. Now, all these things, they're saying that this is a 3-year plan, which we are actually gunning for. The question that we were asking is that, do you think the business that you are running, the way the business is being run, forget about this tech part of it. You had an own way of running business, manufacturing, selling, buying, and all that. Keeping that same business model, but putting all this whole the system architecture of the various things that you're doing, would be able to generate the similar benefits of resilience, agility, optimization, productivity, and all that? Or do you think that the business models itself is calling for a change if you are really wanting to combat uncertainty or create uncertainty in the market? The challenge, and therefore my question to you, that he was also mentioning, that look, while tech is definitely giving me an artificial or whatever you call an intelligence, but sometimes to exploit that intelligence, the natural intelligence which we need to innovate the business model and how to use that is lacking. And therefore, the management's intelligence to foresee that what could be the structure of the whole business model. I mean, should I be splitting into number of units? Should the organization structure be changed? And that's sometime where we are also lacking, and therefore a compromised artificial intelligence may be happening because my own natural business intelligence is not going to that level. And that is where they are also saying maybe Japan, maybe America and others are to some extent beating us because the tech is same everywhere. I pause here, your feedback and your reactions to that.
I mean, it's a very broad topic, but I will try to, a little bit share my thoughts in a concise way. I think irrespective of the industry you are working on, there is some basic fundamental technology principles you need to have. But more than ever, I think we all need to keep our respective clients at the center, that what our clients want and what our employees want, because they are another big asset. I mean, whatever Gen AI comes into picture, that's going to help us to take decisions. I don't think, it's not going to replace us to take decisions. Whatever is general in nature, common in nature, will probably get automated, and of course, AI will help. But that what we call a gut feel of taking that decision, that I think that cannot be done unless you have that client intimacy. So I think we will have to look at, in our business model, what part of our organizational structure is base and fundamental and will allow us to scale, and what part of our organizational structure need to be, having a client intimacy. And when I'm saying client, it's not one client, but I think different personalities in the client organization, whether you are dealing with a CFO, whether you're dealing with a CMO, CEO, CXO, whatever you have, right? So I think that's where we will have to just look at how do you structure and use technology. I think we've got to remember that technology has made phenomenal shift, right, in terms of what they can help us with. But I think the decision making ultimately is ours, and that's what I don't think we can substitute that. You talked about the artificial intelligence and the natural intelligence, right? Artificial intelligence can reduce some time for us, but I don't think you can replace the natural intelligence, what I call gut feel here, right?
Yeah, because the competitive differentiation of the competitive edge by deploying maybe few millions or billions of dollars in the tech, in creating such a complex system architecture, could only come when my business intelligence is good enough to use it through a proper business model. And that's where sometimes I can see the corporates are having a little challenge, because this could be similar for everyone.
That's right.
The similar thing would be similar for everyone. Any such digital transformation discussion cannot get over with one common question that goes around the country now, that even if we are having a very sweeping transformation, very tech savvy and all, do we really have that kind of competencies and skills in the country, starting from a leadership level to down the level who will actually be getting those things done? Because it seems that the leadership level also needs to be completely changed. The definition of the leadership in this whole neo-normal digital AI-driven world needs to be changed. Therefore, a completely different set of competencies even for the board members now, up to the down the line level also. So what's your thought about the competencies that we are now having or harboring in the country?
I think it's a journey for us as a country. We are no different from other countries. Just the other day I came across a AI vibrancy report, and we as a country are number 4th after US, China, I think UK, and then we are 4th. So that's not a bad position to be in. It's evolving. It certainly will take certain time for us to reach to that level. But for sure, I think the awareness is very much here in the business, in the government, in the society, that what got us here is not going to get us there. So we will require a constant rechecking of the skills what we have and what the gap is and how to bridge the gap. I think that's and that is across the levels of organization.
Avinash here, I would pause and now pass on my microphone to the people here. There may be many of your clients, many of your prospects, and getting entity CEO here. Could be something that is great for them. So if there are any questions coming from anyone in the audience for him. Okay,
So,
just giving you some time to think about your question. Just back to Avinash while they are preparing for a question. Any last words for you on any major challenges in this digital transformation journey that you are seeing or foreseeing will come up?
I would say the clarity of thought that what do you want to accomplish by doing the digital transformation, I think it's a strategy discussion, it's not a technology discussion. I mean, the technology is there to help you what you want to accomplish. But what do you want to accomplish by doing or by going on that journey? I think that's really important for people to think. And most of the time, I think, many of our industry colleagues here are CIOs, CTOs. Their job is not easy because they are expected to simplify this whole thing for the board or for their CA to understand so that they can get the budgets approved for the investment. But I think that purpose and clarity of thought is really important, key.
Thank you, Avinash. I mean, the screen shows that we have no seconds left. I know it's pretty injustice for me to confine your knowledge about this subject within 20 minutes. Interestingly, the last Nobel laureate who got it from that DeepMind's AI, but got in physics, the Geoffrey Hinchman, after the Nobel, he was asked by a journalist that, sir, could you tell me in 20 minutes, what exactly is your work on, the self-learning concept of the neural network, what exactly is your Nobel on? And he said, how much time do you have? The journalist said, 15 minutes, sir. So he said, if I could have done it in 15 minutes, possibly I would not have got the Nobel. So it's the same thing for you. I feel it really bad to confine you with the 20 minutes, but thank you. It's really a wonderful
My pleasure. And thank you, audience, for having me here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Mr. Ambarish Dasgupta and Mr. Avinash Joshi. May I request Mr. Suman Banerjee, Chief Human Resource Officer, ABP Private Limited, to kindly come forward and present a memento to both our speakers of this fireside chat. Thank you very much, Mr. Avinash Joshi, for this very interesting sharing of thoughts that you did. And thank you, Mr. Ambarish Dasgupta, for initiating this fireside chat. Thank you very much, sir. I'm sure, ladies and gentlemen, all of you will have something to take back. Thank you very much, sirs. We'll request you to take your seats in the auditorium.